Cześć, I'm Piotr, co-CEO of Boldare, and you are watching Agile Product Builders Tech Edition, a 25-minute series for today product builders. In this episode, we explore how AI is changing the way we build software. And to be clear, we mean real systems, not weekend side projects or vibe coding, which might be a different edition, right? Today's guest is Michał Czmiel, our senior software developer and tech lead here at Boldare. Michał, you've been with Boldare, I think 7 years right now. And what I know for sure that you've played a major role in shaping some of our most successful products we've co-created with our great clients. But not only just as a developer and tech lead, right? But I remember you and seeing you that you were wearing many hats over the years: software architect, even storming facilitator, and I think also you like to be technical coach for developers and entire teams, I would say. So it's great to have you. Welcome to the show. Cześć, Michał.
Hello. Yeah, nice to be here. Thank you for the warm introduction. I think wearing many hats. I think that's a good way in the age of AI. It's one less step to being replaced by AI overlords.
So do you have any favorite hat?
I really like being a mentor of the trainees. It's always humbling to share some knowledge, and also when they ask some tough hard questions, and you kind of just say, don't ask about it, you're too young, but you need to figure it out the answer, and say them that. So I think that being the mentor of the trainee is very satisfying job.
Yeah, I hope it won't vanish this role, in times of AI,
True.
which might be an option, or at least, this yellow dog that we've been using for so many years is right now a little bit more intelligent and not silent as it used to be, right?
Yeah, exactly. Some of the like industry leaders even call the AI tools like ambitious trainees, or like weird trainees that you can yell at them, and but no, jokes aside. But yeah, it's really tough getting into the industry nowadays, and with lots of those AI tools, it might be harder to start with the entry jobs.
Okay, so let's talk about these AI tools, right? Because this is really a a great topic. Um, Generating code is cheap and solving real problems is hard. This is what we know. And I'm curious your professional opinion. So, a developer who builds complex software system, what was your aha moment that convinced you that, AI coding tools are more than just a hype? And I guess it's not only code generation, right?
Yeah, true. I think I had two of those moments. First was during the initial GitHub Copilot preview. When I typed something like beginning of a function to generate a Fibonacci sequence, or a description of a React component, and I got the answer right there in my code editor. Then I felt like, okay, this is something new. It's not only the speed, but also the reduction of a specific friction, which is going to your browser, looking up a documentation, looking up something on Stack Overflow. And here it kind of enhances the flow of the development. But I think the second idea was when the ChatGPT was publicly released. So we had a chat-based system that had a substantial knowledge, and you could, converse with it on topics, ask it to challenge you, ask it to give you alternative paths. So yeah, was something like, hey, maybe sometimes, as instead of getting stuck, or maybe getting an additional context, additional ideas, But yeah, and maybe now the third step was, and I think we will also talk about this, was the introduction of the modern agent editing, like Cursor and the new GitHub Copilot chat.
Okay, so it looks like we already have three major steps within this revolution. Uh, I, I like to look at it like for some to some extent it is extension of Stack Overflow, right? And but then there is, for me, it's at least this is the second really important step is when this IDE comes in, right? But anyway, so what do you use, in your daily work? What do you have on your screens when you do when you build products?
All right. Now every tool has AI built in, even the Zoom software that we are recording has some AI assistant. But in terms of the tools I use to build software, my primary tool is Cursor right now. I've also tried Visual Studio Code and Z editors. I might switch them depending on the features, the changelog they are releasing. So it's the landscape of the editors is changing really frequently, so really rapidly. So it's also good to be prepared to switch your favorite editor. Maybe take your shortcuts with you. I recommend learning Vim shortcuts, Vim motions. Then you can easily switch between different editors. I also use AI chat. I've been using Google AI Studio recently, as we use Google Workspaces in our company, and it's very easily integrated with everything. You can upload documents there. You can ask questions. I use also Perplexity for looking up more specific info, for example, limits on specific DynamoDB commands. I also use Copilot, but on github.com website. I use it for automatic code reviews. So you can attach GitHub Copilot to a pull request and it will produce a sometimes quite useful code review. And I also use it to ask questions about specific repository. I can go to any repository on GitHub and open a chat and ask a couple of questions.
Thanks. It looks like there is quite a stack of different tools, right? But in terms of usage, which one is that you use the most?
Yeah, I would say probably the editor. So currently it's Cursor. So I mostly use it to edit code, but also ask questions about the code base. If you are not familiar with Cursor, it's a modern AI assisted editing tool. It's a code editor. It operates in two modes. First mode is a tab completion mode when you type your code. So you are the pilot, and it auto completes the next pieces of code, and also suggests like where should the next line be. So not only like on a single line, that was the limitation of the first GitHub Copilot, but now it can also suggest, for example, that, hey, we should now import something. So let's go to the top of the file. And the recently released new version, I think it was released a couple of days ago, also suggests changes in multiple files. So it may now suggest, hey, let's jump to this file now to edit something. And the second mode is an agent mode, when you type something in the box and hopefully a few minutes or seconds later you will get your code in as an artifact.
So there is assistant, let's say, mode or assistance that the IDE gives you, and the other thing is the holy grail, that something will gonna make a work for you, right? But you still have to be operator in the second mode, right?
Yes, and we will probably go deeper into this, but this is quite a rabbit hole. This making this agent mode work requires substantial, knowledge, what context to add, what rules to add, how the prompt should be specified, what models should I choose, should the model be thinking or not. So yeah, we should make a separate webinar about that.
Yeah, I'm really sure, but this is exciting because I know how much the integrated development environment, how worth it is for programmer, right? Because this is like your main interface to in building software, right? And you switched from that, which I would describe like it's a modern, maybe modern times Vim, right? I'm old enough to know that it was, we used VI, and then VI improved came in. But anyway, so tell us and all walk us through, please, a real case where an AI assistant saved you serious time.
Sure. So let me give you an example of what I've been building recently. So I'm mostly working on the backend system that deals with some data processing, data scheduling. And whenever I implement a feature, I try to think of it as some sort of a vertical slice, so like a mini module, mini application that does one thing. And this actually fits perfectly in the LLM logic because it has all the context it needs. So how I usually nowadays start working on this feature. First, I iterate on the solution using a chat. So in my a specific example is the Google AI Studio. Let's say I need to integrate with an external service. I can upload its documentation, whether it's a Swagger or PDF file, and I can ask follow-up question like, what's the authentication method? What are the rate limits? Give me all the endpoints for, I don't know, some comment scheduling. So I can figure out what I need to do. Then I come up with a general technical solution of the architecture, the how the data will flow, what are the database structure, and I also ask chat to validate that. I ask, and I think one good tip is to ask the chat for follow-up question so it can detect what is missing. And to some examples, what I can iterate on is do you spot some performance issue? Do you spot some concurrency issues? What about the memory? How it will scale with more users? Are there any potential issues? How adding a new rule to this system will affect it? Once I have this solution, I jump back to my editor. And here, some people prepare a plan, so a plan document for the agent itself, and let the agent execute all the steps. I am a bit more traditional in that matter, that I prefer to scaffold or write the initial structure and tests myself. So based on the document, I scaffold everything myself so that I know that the structure is good, the coding style is good, the dependency are set and they are consistent, because this is something that AI agents might have an issue with. And then I run the agent on the to fill the missing gaps. For example, I need this mapping between a database and external service. For example, missed a case that some user decided to send an empty array or a limit equal to -10, and then I can just ask the agent to, hey, please fix this another test case. And also, I think what's good in this flow is at the end I can also ask the chat mode. So inside my editor, I can reference some files or the main ones with the most important logic and ask it for like a review. So I can like, what about this code? Do you see any issues? Will it run? And so, yeah. So maybe to sum up, the goal of this flow is not only speed, but I also try to maintain the quality, because often with this vibe coding, as you said, which is I don't care about the code. I just care about the results. So when there is an error, I just paste the error and I don't need the code. I think in the current the approach I try to use, first of all, speed is not only the goal, but also quality. And also I maintain the, like a mental model of the solution. I don't push the mental model to the AI. But of course, if you are building something maybe less complex or you have more trust in the agent, you can push the lever into what AI takes over more, right?
Yeah, it's the vibe coding thing is phenomenal, right? But the biggest question is, at least for us, is whether AI can help us build complex systems. And you thank you for explaining this flow because it's fantastic. When I was listening to you, I imagined that you actually speak to several specialists, but they are not humans. And I don't know, maybe your talking with humans decreased. And I was always, when there is a good team, I see how much time they do spend on talking, and very often we explain customers, okay, you're actually paying for this talking because the outcome of this talking is great. It's relatively easy to generate some kind of code, but then you have to maintain it, and then you don't know it. So it's really great, and thank you for sharing about it. Uh, but I have to ask you this question. So how much time do you save on it, or how much more productive you are?
I know you want to hear some like X
Yes,
productive.
exactly.
It's hard to quantify because it's different on any task. Yeah, just to clarify, I also talk to humans, not only AI models. But yeah, I would say it speeds up a lot of time on as you grasp the tools and you don't fight with the tool. You know its limitations, and then you can be much faster. It feels like as we talk with the trainee, it feels like you have your own trainee, and even some of the advancements in the I think Cursor just published a preview of a asynchronous, or I think background mode agent. So in theory, the holy grail is you have multiple concurrent trainees working on the different pieces of code. But yeah, essentially it's speeds you a lot in terms of you can also move the time you saved into working on something else, because you don't need to write lots of code. It's of the boilerplate code, or the code that is not that meaningful anyway.
But can I assume you definitely more productive, right? So maybe it's not two Michals, but something around 1.5.
Yes, definitely. It's I would, if somebody who didn't try any tooling, I would definitely try to suggest to use it. Yes, I would definitely say that I'm more productive with this.
Okay, I guess I know there's a flip side of this coin, right? So uh, tell me, where have AI generated, for instance, suggestions gone wrong for you, and how did you catch up or fix
Mhm.
it?
So, good thing is that none of my, AI badly generated code or like hallucinated wrong code got into production or like broke something. So I always try to catch it quite early. I would categorize four major issues I found, and maybe some ways we can fix them. First is sometimes the LLMs, the agent gets stuck in the loop trying to find a valid solution. So it will generate random methods, random function calls, And often it's just a matter of that you gave it either too complex tasks or too little context. So you need to break it down or give it more context. Sometimes we get invalid code that looks valid, and you need to have definitely automated tests that validate the cases, but also type checking and rules so to prevent not using functions that don't exist. I also have one gripe with the LLM generated code is that sometimes is trying to use too many comments, and I think it dilutes the purpose of it because the comments should really explain why something is like that. And if every line is commented, then it loses its purpose. So the solution to that could be using stricter rules. And also the fourth issue that could be harder to spot if you are not an expert in the specific like library or framework is that those models have a data cutoff, and sometimes the generated code may not have the latest library. The Docker file versions may not be the latest ones. Maybe some library was already added to standard library, so you also need to validate the code.
Okay, great. So still we have to think, right? The operator developer have to think. That's a little bit disappointing, right? Or maybe not. We still need it. Okay, but what kind of safeguards do you use? I mean, there must be some intellectual property or security things. How do you cope with that?
All right, let's break it down into like security, like the application security, let's call it. So first of all, it's just a matter of using all the industry best practices. So baking the security early on in the development flow using security scanning tools, human code review, etc. Regarding the intellectual property, this is more nuanced, as I think. So first of all, you need to enable the privacy mode on the tool you are using. That means no training on your data, zero or limited data retention. And also quite important is not using licensed code on because not every code on GitHub is open source. So many of the top tools already have those options. So it's just a matter of, administrative governance work of just enabled everything to protect the intellectual property. If you want to be fine-grained about this, there are some of the tools have specific ignore files, like we have a git ignore, so files that shouldn't be pushed to a remote repository. Some of the tools have um, that you can rule out. Please don't index those files, or please don't allow auto completion of those files. Let's say those are your, I know, critical business, your secret sauce, or something else, right?
Okay, thank you. I like to picture AI as an excavator, but sometimes you have to use shovel. So, what is the how do you decide what to do manually and with AI? Or maybe you don't.
Yeah, so I would say all the concept work, high-level architecture diagrams, modularization, even I know there are like lots of initial the code generators that generate your projects and bootstrap it for long-term projects. Maybe having a mental model of this is better as you will maintain it. You are still the main maintainer. AI is just a helper, and I think as you the shovel should also be used for all the critical business logic. So whatever it's your core domain logic, payments, authentication, tests, everything that could blow up if it's not properly written and reviewed.
Okay. Uh, so, and I wonder because this is like a fascinating. I think the new paradigm is being born. But what is the most counterintuitive lessons you've learned using AI tools?
Yeah, I think Well, you added the lessons. I think the most counterintuitive is the OpenAI model naming scheme. But yeah, when it comes to the lessons, I think that using the agent mode is hard. When I heard about this, the Cursor, VS Code, or other editors, I thought it's just like, you type everything and it that produces a great outcome. It's not correct. There's quite a rabbit hole. As I said, you need to pick a right model, whether the model should be thinking. Maybe for some operations you can use different model or different thinking level. You should really precisely write your prompts. Maybe you even have some sort of a prompt library. You should be really specific about your context. What files should you include? Often it's too little context you're including. Also a rules set. So describing technologies, development practices, code styles, the more the better. And we didn't even go into, like a MCP or other tools that you can integrate. You could integrate the database into your editor. So yeah, there are lots of steps. Maybe just to give you to people listening some keywords to search for. One solution is to have a plan file that the AI generates a plan, you edit it, and then the model executes the plan, or maybe you prepare the plan and then the model executes it. There is the concept of having a memory bank, so having a list of markdown files that describe what's going in the project. And yeah, some people even tried threatening their models, and hope they even got some results. So it's a rabbit hole.
Yeah, but it also looks like there is a lot of knowledge and there is a lot to learn. Um, but if I want to start, with suppose I have a small team, right? So what should I measure? What would be the key metric to track whether, let's say, my AI adoption or usage is good?
Yeah. First of all, I would just track the usage metrics. So, number of accepted
Simple.
completions, chat requests that you are actually your developers, your employees are using for what you're paying. But then if you want to measure the long-term process, I would go into some metrics like deployment frequency or your the times you just make a release, because in theory that should decrease as your developers should and embracing those tools should be developing faster. Of course, it's not always the case, but yeah, that should be the tendency. And also you should measure the change failure rate or your uptime to see if how the LLMs affected the quality. Is it the same? Is it lower? Is it higher? So yeah.
Okay, thank you. So almost the last question is, would you imagine yourself not using AI today?
That's a very good question. I would think of three possible answers. First, if there was some sort of, regulated industry some sort of scenario or a domain or a case when AI couldn't be used. But I don't know if that will be the case for how much in the future as those models are getting better, the tools are getting more advanced. And I would say also when you're doing some coding challenges like advent of code, just to improve yourself, not the model. And the third one would be when you are in the train or a plane and you don't have internet access, because running those models is possible locally, but it's not that you have to have a really beefy GPU and other to run efficient models. But yeah, generally I would say that I wouldn't now code without it. Yeah, I think this is like an integral part of my stack now.
Okay, so can you tell yes or no, is AI ready for real software development?
I would say yes. We waited 30 minutes to answer that question, but yeah, for me, the answer is yes.
Okay, thank you, Michał. It was great to have you here. Thank you for a chance to learn from your experience, and for all those who were watching us, thank you for this 30 minutes, little bit over time. Greetings to your cat.
Thank you.
Ciao.
Bye bye.